Come in. Sit down.
Welcome, Midnighters, to our new Wonderfully Bad Movie of the Week here at Midnight Reel. On my left, the one and only Scott Phillips.
Howdy, guys.
On my right, Sir Patrick.
That's me, apparently. Still, sir.
It's never going away.
We're gonna give him a suit of armor at some point, right?
It's gonna.
He earns.
It's gonna
like,
pick it up on the.
He'll get like
mics.
an arm, and then he'll get the other arm.
Ooh, slowly but surely.
You'll just hear me constantly because every time I take a sip of beer, you'll just hear king, 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 king.
It'll be like a set of cookies. We'll get him like, hey, we got you shoulder pads.
We got you
like
a shoe.
80s shoulder pads, or are we talking
we could mix and match. We could like football shoulder pads,
like designing women
like
shoulder
metal
pads?
gauntlets. Like, yeah.
And this is Midnight Reel. I am Joe DePew, your host.
Is this the test now?
Today, since we are really kind of getting into October, we've been really trying to focus on more, I guess you could say, horror, Halloween type things.
Air quotes.
Air
Big
quotes.
time.
There's,
Big time for this one.
yeah. But, I mean, it's kind of got in the title, right? I mean, it's got all the elements you need. Rocky Horror Picture Show. One of Tim Curry's finest performances, if I do say myself. I'm completely...
Especially if you say it super loud.
I do.
It is one of those. I mean, we posted it on our page, but it is one of those that's always fun. It's one of those things you can really decide what you know about a person or a person's personality based on which role they know Tim Curry for the best.
So, I think at this point, I mean, Tim Curry we're talking about Rocky Horror, but how many movies can you really think of that Tim Curry has been in?
Oh, way less.
More than you.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say.
Let's see.
I was gonna say way less than he's been in because.
Well, it's starring in like supporting.
Yeah,
cast.
just like anytime
things.
he's like made an appearance. I mean, he's done a lot of voice work too. So like Fern Gully, he was the bad guy.
The bad guy? Is that his name?
I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name. It's gonna kill me. But no, like he was in Fern Gully.
I only know the live action Fern Gully, also known as Avatar.
But then like Clue, another fantastic movie of Tim Curry.
See, that's the one I recognize. Like that's when I think Tim Curry, that's actually what I go to first because I think I watched that movie more than anything else.
Well, say mine. A huge reason why this came up as our Wonderfully Bad is because my big movie for Tim Curry is It.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So coming from talking about that, I was like, that does kind of like slide in real nice. Where we talked about It, you got the old one with Tim Curry, and so now you get to talk about his Wonderfully Bad movie that he was in.
Well, I mean, he's got a few of them, by the way. I mean,
oh, for sure. But
like,
he's an A-list actor. I don't know what you're talking about.
he's never been in a bad.
Have
movie.
you seen the movie The Shadow with Alec Baldwin?
Yes, I have.
Tim Curry's in there.
That's a terrible movie.
Terrible movie. We're going to be talking about that one, by the way. At some point, we're going to talk about The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. Oh my goodness. Oscar.
Well, that'll just be the bad movie of the.
Yeah.
I'll watch that movie till the day I die. I love that movie.
So terrible.
It is. Oscar with Sylvester Stallone.
Ooh, yeah.
Another fantastic Tim Curry performance there. And then I think a really big holiday one, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Yeah, that was a good one. I used to have the recorder, the big Walkman recorder thing.
Yeah, I used to have that too.
Well, and then there's always the Michael Crichton favorite. Can't even think of the name now. My head went immediately to Spear, but it's not Spear. It's the gorilla one.
Congo.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible movie.
Man.
Another really good one he was in, though? Hunt for the Red October.
That was good.
That was a really good movie.
Yeah.
So enough about reminiscing on Tim Curry.
Rocky
Horror Picture Show.
Ugh.
This is iconic. Like, if I had to say, besides It, I think this is his most iconic role. People know Tim Curry for Rocky Horror.
Well, you saw from our comments when we posted about it, all of the comments we got on Facebook were him as Dr. Frankenfurter.
Frankenfurter.
That was what everybody remembered. Now, we do have to come out front and say it. This movie does not make any sense.
Well, if
At
you
all.
listen to the opening and the closing, like beginning and opening, closing song, they explain the whole movie, right? There's no ambiguity about what's going on, what's about to happen. It stays true to it's a horror science fiction mess,
Yeah.
and it's fantastic. But to be honest though, it has a super good lineup of actors. I mean, you got Susan Sarandon.
And then the
Tim
other guy.
Curry.
The other guy.
The other guy. the main actor, I don't even know his name.
Oh yeah.
Like the guy who basically never moved on from anything else ever. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. There was a few that if you like, because I ended up going through because I have it on Vudu.
Oh yeah.
So I decided to go through all the cast and like click on each one. I'm like, man, what'd they do after Rocky Horror? I mean, to be honest, out of everyone, Tim Curry's was just like just
Well,
lines
Susan
and stuff.
Sarandon is.
Yeah, I mean, Susan
So-
Sarandon's not that far behind him.
Yeah.
But a lot of them too, you got to realize were all theater actors.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them all came from the original cast of the play Rocky Horror Picture Show, and so they came in and did the movie and all that stuff, and that's all well and good. So it makes sense that they don't have a huge laundry list of movies they were in because they weren't movie actors beforehand, and a lot of them may not have even been their goal to be movie actors. So
It's possible.
it's kind of like, and again, to be a quick divert is if you watch Rent, the movie Rent.
Everybody's got AIDS.
Yeah, everyone's got AIDS. And it had the original cast from the theater, and like there were a few of them that went on and did a lot of movies and started a lot of stuff, but most of them probably either went back to just doing like Broadway theater shows, or that was near the end of their career anyway. So you get a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, the performances in this movie are really well done.
There's a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
These guys are committed to their roles.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
You can definitely say that.
I still think one of the best scenes in the entire movie is when Dr. Frankenfurter first shows up. Like, you could watch that one scene and leave and be like, I don't need any more. This is the greatest part of the movie.
Could be.
I mean, just the entire, like, delivery of that entire point.
So it's real quick for the people that haven't seen this movie,
Oh.
which seems to
Who
be,
hasn't?
seems to be few and far between. Let's see if you can give a nice quick synopsis for this movie.
Okay, this is the fastest one you'll probably hear. Couple gets engaged, gets taken to a castle, Frankenstein type castle, where Dr. Frankenfurter creates basically a sex slave. Everybody starts having an orgy. Turns out they're aliens from another planet. They have to escape. Done. There's your movie. That is the entire movie in a nutshell. It is.
The craziest part is that it's not wrong. Like, there's no part of what he says is wrong. Except for, like, after their wedding, they were driving to go to their honeymoon, and they broke down.
No, they weren't going to their honeymoon. They hadn't even get married. They just got engaged. They were going to go to
that's
Dr.
right,
Scott. And after, on their way to Dr. Scott, they had a flat. They had to go to Dr. Frankenfurter's castle to use a phone, and then they get caught up in this whole ordeal. And that's pretty much the entire movie. It really doesn't make any sense. The songs are fantastic. They still don't make any sense to the story.
No.
I mean, Meatloaf's appearance, his song title is called Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul.
Bless my soul.
Bless my soul. Makes no sense. Absolutely none.
So I did a lot of reading on the trivia and stuff of this movie because I rewatched it again last night, and so I decided to go through and watch a little trivia. So as we talk about this movie, I'll try to sprinkle in any of the ones that kind of pop in and make sense and that are fun. So talking about Meatloaf, for example, say what you will about Meatloaf. Love him, hate him, don't know anything about him, whatever. When he took on this role, because originally he also did the theater presentation of it as well. Like he did it all in the stage and all that stuff. They had told Meatloaf, don't be too concerned about your song. Nobody that's acted your song on stage has ever got it completely right. They've either been offbeat a couple of times or whatever, because the song is very odd. It's not a normal tempo. It's all that stuff. the lyrics are weird and all that kind of stuff. So they had told Meatloaf straight off the back, don't be too concerned about being perfect. To this day, Meatloaf is still the only person to perfect singing that song, both on stage and in the movie, without any mess ups, never being off beat, never being off tone. Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Like,
well, to be fair, I mean, he's definitely a musical talent.
for sure.
So, cause, I mean, other people probably don't have the education and the experience behind it than Meatloaf.
But I mean, you're also comparing this to people that have been stage singing for a long time, and that takes a lot of work as well. But
Yeah.
it is very interesting.
It's a different kind of...
It is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, with his studio expertise and the countless hours of recording and probably helping other people record and produce and all that stuff, like, it's just really funny, like, the kind of underdog there, like, in a sense of the word of stage acting and all that. Meatloaf just comes in and is like, nah, I got this. I'm gonna bang this out. Don't you worry about me.
So the sad part is, like, I immediately, every time I hear Meatloaf, I don't even think of a song. I always think of Fight Club. That's all I can think of. Is Edward Norton right in his boobs.
I mean, as we just talked about before we started this podcast, is actually the movie that I know Meatloaf from the most is Black Dog. And if you guys haven't seen this,
not surprising.
It won't even really make our Wonderfully Bad because there's nothing wonderful about that movie. But it's basically, I can't imagine that nobody's seen Roadhouse. So let's assume the guy from Roadhouse got fired and needed a new job, so he gets a CDL and starts driving trucks. That's Black Dog. That's pretty much what happens. So, and the villain, or I guess the sub-villain, he's like the main henchman, I guess, in the movie, is Meatloaf. And it's great in all the wrong ways. Like,
and I can't believe I have not seen it.
I can't either.
I'm actually kind of disappointed. After I watched the trailer,
it is nothing but pure action.
Oh, it is.
Pure action.
And for some reason,
I
love that kind of stuff. I really do. It doesn't have to make a lot of sense. As long as there's a lot of crap going on, I'm cool.
So there's a chance that you guys might get a Wonderfully Bad episode of Black Dog, but I don't think it has enough good to justify the Wonderfully Bad. It's got a lot of bad.
I'll watch it, and we'll see.
But getting back to Rocky Horror, so there's a big question that I wanted to ask everybody. And Patrick, I know you just straight up hate this movie.
I hate this movie so much. Like, everything about this movie just, like, brings me back to high school and having to sit on a school bus. Because I went to the Arts Magnet, so literally to and from school on the school bus, like, the entire theater group that sat at the back of the bus would literally listen to the entire Grease soundtrack and the entire Rocky Horror soundtrack. Gosh. It was the most miserable experience of my life. The only thing that got me through it was my Game Gear and the 16 batteries
Game Gear.
The 16 batteries that would last about 20 minutes.
It was fancy. What's great too is, like, a little side note, like, I probably saw this for the first time 5 years ago, if not less.
Okay.
I'd always known about it. I had seen it around everybody talked about it. It was nothing I never knew about.
Right.
It was never a movie that I was like, man, I really need to go watch that. I can't wait to go home and watch Rocky Horror. And the funny thing was, it was kind of weird, but kind of not to loop them together. But I'd also never seen Little Shop of Horrors until about 5 years ago.
That one I like.
Right, and a lot of people sold me on that. And in my mind, at the time, I just kind of like clumped the two together because they were both musicals. They're both kind of like off the beaten path, a little weird. Yeah. And so one day, I go to movie training company, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get a Little Shop of Horrors. And I was like, well, I'm here. Might as well buy a Rocky Horror Picture Show, too. And I watched both of them, and vastly different.
One has superior acting ability. And,
for sure.
Yeah. It's not this
so
one.
the big question I wanted to ask is, like I said, even though Patrick may hate this, Joe, what is your favorite song in Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Favorite?
And why?
Okay.
Do you make up these questions, Mr. Holden? Or do they write them down for you?
Oh, gosh. That is really... I mean, the Time Warp obviously is iconic. I really like that song. However, I think my favorite song, though, probably is Meatloaf's song. I love listening to that song.
He does it really well. I think he does.
His song is so good to listen to. Don't get me wrong, I love Time Warp. I really love Time Warp. The other one I actually really like is the very last song that Dr. Frankenfurter sings before he dies. That one actually is a really good song too.
Spoilers.
Oh.
Spoilers.
Well, you know what? It's a horror picture. Somebody's got to die.
That's ridiculous.
I mean,
Everyone comes back alive
I mean,
in
we
every
don't-
horror movie. I think we all know that.
we don't know that he died.
I mean,
Patrick, is there a song you could pick as the one that you enjoy the most?
In very short bursts, like Time Warp is the only one I could
Yeah.
probably put up with, and it's only probably because I saw it on Spaced like more often because I love the show Spaced. That I could in like one of the episodes they have the housewarming and like she keeps singing that song. It's the most annoying thing ever, and I can totally relate to Simon Pegg in that show because he's just like about to lose his mind because she
Simon
keeps
Pegg.
singing the stupid
Oh,
song.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
So mine, personally, and this is really weird. The reason is what's going to throw you off. My actual favorite song on this is "Damn It, Janet."
oh,
It's a little
nice.
catchy and all stuff, but the reason I enjoy "Damn It, Janet" so much is because it's some reason, whether it's the guy's voice who plays it in the movie, it's the kind of beat of the song. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, every time I hear this song, I think of "Man's Gotta Do" from Dr. Horrible. And that song is amazing. So
It's probably a better song.
it rides the coattails of that song in my brain. Like I hear David Janet and it makes me think "Man's Gotta Do," and I'm just like, I can't help but just kind of grin and just sit back and go, oh man, because it's so good. It's so good.
I said, don't get me wrong. I love this movie. It's a bad movie. We can all agree on that. You hate it.
I
That's totally
absolutely
okay.
agree in every ounce of
It
my
is
being.
a bad movie. But see, the reason why I love this
Terrible.
movie so much, and you can say superior acting talent coming from Little Shop of Horrors, I disagree. I actually really disagree. I'm not saying that Little Shop of Horrors. I mean, Rick Moranis did a great job.
I mean, overall, because you have so many people that are all amazing actors in Little Shop of Horrors, but it's because they were all hired specifically for it.
Well,
And so-
even besides that, I mean, you like with Rocky Horror, I can't imagine, even for a second, that these guys thought, man, we are making an Oscar-worthy movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you look at Tim Curry's delivery of everything he does in that, I mean, I'm talking from just how he presents himself physically, to just even the basic smiles that he does, the little facial expressions that he gives off, to how he emotes through his voice. You know, like, this guy is committed to that role.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he does a phenomenal delivery of that role. And even, like, with Susan Sarandon, there was obviously clearly points, like, they don't make any sense with how she's reacting, but she, like, again, all these actors,
They're playing the part.
They are-
incredibly
yeah.
well.
They
the
are.
part itself may be bad,
Yeah.
but they are playing
poorly
the part.
written.
Yeah, but they are
Yeah.
playing
Oh,
that
man.
part wholeheartedly. Like they're
Yeah.
putting so much into it. You really want to talk about putting stuff into it. Again, like I said, these little trivia facts that I read. The set that they had, especially with the very end of the pool scene and all that stuff, there was no heat in the set. And Susan Sarandon actually like complained to the producers, like, "Hey, like there's no heat, like there's no heater here, like it's super cold and all this stuff, and then we're getting wet and everything." And they like basically just said that she complains too much because she was, at the time like a starlet and all this stuff. They're like, "Oh, she's just being like,
Needy.
yeah, whatever." She actually got pneumonia because of getting in and out of the water and no heat, and still continued to like show up and act in all of her roles and play her parts
And
with
finish the
pneumonia.
part, yeah.
She did a lot of that movie with pneumonia because the whole filming for that entire movie was 6 weeks. Like they did it super quick.
Yeah.
So there wasn't time for her to go take 2 weeks off to get over pneumonia and all that stuff. So that's, again, like you kind of put in like, they put everything they had into this.
Yeah.
like I said, I love Little Shop of Horrors, and I'm sure we'll talk about that one not too far in the future. But I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I love watching it so much. And I think that's one of the reasons why it is still talked about today. It's still extremely sought after. They still have theaters that just show it to have everybody participate along because it
Yeah,
is
the
still...
Inwood Theater is known in
Yeah.
Dallas that they show it like it used to show at midnight every Saturday, like for years on end.
And
Yeah, there's
people
a-
go, and that thing will sell out.
Yeah.
It will sell out almost every time.
There's a theater in Germany somewhere that shows Rocky Horror every week, and so because of that, because it is still a real theater and they do show the movie it's like Friday night or Saturday night or whatever. Rocky Horror currently holds the record for longest theater run of any movie of all time because it started showing in '75 and it's still running in theaters technically.
And so, I mean, you just look at like something like that. I mean, they obviously did something really incredible with this movie, regardless of the fact that it is a bad movie.
I mean, it's a cult following. So they even talk about like when they first initially released this movie in theaters, it bombed horribly.
Oh yeah.
But around that time, like a year or so after, was when they started doing a lot of midnight movies. We talk nowadays in our generation about midnight releases of, hey, this movie comes out on Friday, but we can go see it Thursday night at midnight to go see this movie first. But that all started with midnight movies. It was basically like they showed movies at theaters at midnight that were way off the beaten path. They weren't the normal movies that your average everyday person was going to go watch. So basically you brought in the odd crowd to come in to see these movies at midnight. And so when that started becoming popular, they re-released Rocky Horror in theaters at these midnight showings, and it just exploded after that. Because you got the right crowd of people into the theater watching these movies. And so now you still have this huge following of when you go to the theater productions. It's like known to like come in and bring your props, and you have certain props of when you're going to play it out and do all this other stuff. A lot of people are acting out a lot of the scenes in the theater. Like it's got a huge cult following now because you placated to the right group of people.
I think they even re-released it back in the theaters after the cult's like status started, like after it started doing that, and then that's when it made most of this money when it got re-released.
Oh, for sure.
So, I couldn't even imagine that. I mean, it was made in 1975. So
right, that was when
yeah, and so it's just one of those things because in '75, I mean, I could probably look up what other movies that were coming out. I don't have it on me right now, but like. And there's so many movies in the 70s that probably were just like the biggest thing in the history of mankind at the time. And this little musical comes out and
and so it's one of those like it's probably one of those like a lot of people weren't willing to admit that they liked.
Yeah.
Like, you probably had a lot of people that went and saw it and they're like, no, I can't tell people I like this movie because it is so like. I mean, even for today's standards, it's still so, like, on the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim Curry's playing
just a transvestite
from
Transylvania.
From transsexual Transylvania.
Yeah. Well, and if you remember, they categorize this. It's the planet transsexual from the galaxy of Transylvania.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah. Well, even looking up like the best picture, like in 1975, was The Godfather Part 2.
Nice.
So
yeah, I mean, it's really funny. Like, especially like now you think of that. You talk about that song too, of the transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. So you're like, man, it's like singing a song of like, I'm Joe from Earth Milky Way. Like, what? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would that song make sense? Like. But okay, sure, whatever.
So I know you asked the question what your favorite song is, though. My question is, you're like, what is it? Probably like your least favorite part of the movie. Man, least favorite.
I
know this is gonna be a hard question for you because you haven't really seen it.
Because you hate all of them. That's why it's hard.
Can I just say?
I would say there's an hour and 41-minute section of the movie that I just greatly dislike.
And if you look at the runtime of this movie. I'm pretty sure it's about an hour and 41 minutes. But thinking about that, like, also just brings me up too. Like, again, your brain works in weird ways, but also because it's Tim Curry. The song "Transvestite," "Transsexual" is too much like his main song in Ferngully. Like,
oh man,
it almost creeps me out because of that. Because like. the song's
Hit me
weird.
once.
Yeah, the song's weird enough as it
Hit me
is.
twice.
But now I want like I
Well,
watch
I'm sure
it.
Ferngully was written in a specific way to be like that.
Oh, I'm sure because
To
I
be
mean,
a
yeah.
referential.
but the
I could
hardest
see
part,
that.
the hardest part of where you go is that so you have casting directors for your movies and people that are going to cast your voice actors and all that stuff. And so there is somebody who was needing to cast that role for Ferngully who has obviously seen and known about Tim Curry in Rocky Horror Picture Show and was like, "Yep, that's it. That's what we want. That transsexual song, I got this. I got a perfect place." And
I've been doing it live
I got this-
every week.
I got a perfect place in this children's movie that I'm gonna basically squeeze that song into.
I mean, that's the joke of every
Yeah.
Disney movie is there's some adult
yeah,
thing
for sure.
going on. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I found myself like bobbing to that song and like kind of like, oh, okay, like singing along a little bit because like it's catchy, but it almost creeps me out because it's too much like the song from Ferngully. I just kind of got to put it there, but I mean, there's a lot of music I don't enjoy. So like a lot of the slower stuff and a lot of the like the mopey songs that are in there or whatever are like just boring to me. I think if I were to like pick one that I just don't like, I would say it's actually the opening credits song, the sci-fi double feature song.
Yeah.
And I think a huge part of that is just because the opening credits of this movie is like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculously long. So it's like, oh, okay, I want to watch this movie. And for 10, 15 minutes, you're watching a mouth like talk and sing a song. And I think because of that, like, my connection, I'm just like, oh, God, this song just drives me nuts. Like, I just want to skip it every time because it's too long.
It's easily skippable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of it is because, there's no.
I wasn't
makes sense.
gonna go there. I was gonna allow people to love whatever they want to love.
I'm gonna
It's
do it
fine.
for Patrick. But
Well-
Joe, what is your least favorite song in this movie?
It's not my least favorite song. It's my least favorite part of this movie. It's the
Ooh.
part that ticks me off to no end. Okay. I'm going to set the stage real quick. Obviously, they've already gone through the experiment. Rocky was created or like brought to life. Rocky is the creation from Dr. Frankenfurter. So they all go to their rooms to kind of just relax until they can get the phone going and the storm passes and all that. So Dr. Frankenfurter pretends to be Brad for Janet and Janet for Brad, and he ends up seducing both of them. Seduces Janet first and then seduces Brad. Janet obviously feels horrible of the fact that she cheated on Brad and goes to the lab and finds out that Brad cheated on her with Dr. Frankenfurter and gets so angry at Brad saying, "How could you do this to me? What are you talking about?
You
You
just
just did it!
Yeah.
What are you getting pissed off?" So she then sleeps with Rocky, like, to get back at him. Like, oh my gosh, we are so messed up. Oh,
Wait, are you saying there may be a double standard in that?
What? So
I'm not
weird.
saying that either person was innocent here, but for her to sit there and go, "Oh, Brad is a horrible
Well,
guy.
I believe-
Let me go sleep with the other guy too to prove a
let's
point."
just mark of how many times each person did it with the wrong person.
I mean, yeah. So, like, I think, like I said,
Yeah.
that's my one least
But-
favorite part.
But she felt bad about it, and that's what matters.
Yeah, she felt bad.
Because you see the video feed
Yeah.
with him, and he's just like sitting in bed smoking a cigarette, just like, yeah, it was nice.
Yeah,
Like,
all I can hear is the
not
more,
a care
the
in
more you
the
know.
world.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
Not a care in the world. He enjoyed it, and that's what her problem was because when she didn't see the act, she saw the aftermath. And it's because he didn't care. He was just sitting around smoking a cigarette, and she's like, "He's not even upset about this. You should be." I was upset.
This
you should be
jerk.
upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, how long? Like, we don't even see after the fact of when Dr. Frankenfurter left. Was she like sitting there like, "Oh, that was actually pretty good"? No, we saw only when she was going up to the lab to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
So we don't even know. I mean, Brad May felt bad about it. I don't know. But either way, she ends up sleeping with the guy, with Rocky, and no, I mean, it's like then you get the Creature of the Night song, which is it's okay. That's like it's one of the like songs I can skip over. But yeah, like out of all the movie, like that's my least favorite part, just because I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not saying what he did was right, but no, you both screwed up.
oh yeah, pretty much.
Both are horrible people. Everybody there is horrible.
Well, it's funny too because I mean I've never been to the live action play,
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody that has or knows about it, like, yeah, that means I'm technically a virgin, as they call it for the play. But I was looking up a lot of stuff. So like they show all the props that you're supposed to bring and how you're supposed to interact with all the props and all that stuff. And they talk about how like anytime Brad's name is mentioned, like the whole crowd's supposed to yell back "asshole," and you're just like, why? Like, why is he the asshole? Like, he didn't do anything worse than she did. Like, he was a good guy.
In fact, you could say she did more because she slept with 2 different people
in the same night.
in the same night.
And not her fiance, like, was not one of those 2 people.
So, I mean, yeah. Oh, Janet.
Damn it, Janet.
All right.
No, it's great. But I love this movie. It really is great. I still, like I said, the most iconic thing for me, though, is Dr. Frankenfurter's entrance. It's so good. The delivery on it is so good.
And I mean, at the end of the day, like, this movie is one of those I think all of our Wonderfully Bad movies we kind of feel the same about. Love it, hate it, indifferent about it. We do agree it is just one of those, like, what we kind of talked about. It's a rite of passage. Like, it's a movie that you need to see. Yeah. Even if you come
It's
out
part of the
it,
canon. It's part of the culture.
Yeah, even if you come out of the end of it and you're like, that was stupid, I wasted 2 hours, like an hour and a half of my life, whatever, like, that's fine. But it is something that you just... It is one of those... I mean, there's even that book, 1001 Movies to See Before You Die, and Rocky Horror Picture Show is in there. Now, at no point in this 1001 Movies to See Before You Die would say, hey, all of these are great movies.
Or all of these should have won an award.
Yeah, these should all be, Oscar awards. They should all have Emmys. Like, no, like, it's just... These are movies that, just based on the cult classicness of it, the history behind it, the popularity of it, like, you need to check this movie out. So, we're not saying you're going to love it if you haven't seen it, but you do need to watch it.
I'm definitely saying you may not love it.
Definitely, maybe.
It kind of definitely falls into the guilty pleasure almost, category of things, and that's where most.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I totally understand why people would love it. I completely understand why someone would want to go to an experience and go watch it in the theaters. I mean, there's so many movies that I've seen that I'm like, I have no interest in ever seeing that movie ever again. But I understand why people like it. I mean, that's why I've always said to everyone that I'm willing to watch any movie under any circumstances because I'm just a movie lover to begin with. Like, that's literally it. And so I will watch anything at any time. But at the same time, I definitely have my preferences.
I mean, hey, I've always been basically in that same boat of you of me saying, I can't trash talk your bad movie that you love, unless I've seen it.
Right.
So I'll go see it, and then I can properly tell you how shitty your movie is that you just love. But
I'll give you a 50-page essay of why it's so terrible.
It's like The Flight of the Navigator. I love that movie.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
It is a bad movie.
There's so many movies that do not hold up that you're like watched over and over again when you're a kid and you're like, oh, time travel. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
I think that will wrap it up for our Wonderfully Bad Rocky Horror Picture Show. Do yourself a favor and watch it at least once. You might find a new movie you love.
Or not.
Or not. That's okay too. But this is Joe Depew,
Scotty P,
and Patrick.
Signing off.
In answer to your query, they're written down for me. It's a test designed to provoke an emotional response. Shall we continue?